the knife pressed against Naomi's throat. Cold metal. A steady hand. A voice she recognized whispered in her ear. You took everything from me, Naomi. Now I'm going to take everything from you. Her sister. Her own sister had just betrayed her again in the worst possible way. And the man she loved, he was about to burn soul to the ground to get her back. If you thought part 1 was intense, you haven't seen anything yet. Hit subscribe right now because this ending will leave you speechless. Drop a comment telling me where you're watching from. 3 months had passed since that day in the cafe. 3 months since Naomi had given Yijun one chance to prove he could love her without caging her. And he was trying. God, he was really trying. You're staring again, she said without looking up from her book. They were in his apartment. Minimalist. Expensive. Very him. Naomi sat curled up on the couch, a medical journal open in her lap. Yijun stood by the kitchen counter, coffee cup in hand, watching her with that intense gaze that used to terrify her. Now it made her stomach flutter. I'm allowed to look at you, he said. Looking and staring are different things. Then I'm staring. Appreciatively. She glanced up. He was smiling. A real smile, not the cold, predatory one from before. He had changed. Not completely, not overnight, but slowly, deliberately, he was becoming someone who could love her the right way. He crossed the room and sat beside her, close but not invasive. What are you reading? He asked. Cardiac arrest protocols. Riveting. It's important. So is this. He took her hand, threading his fingers through hers. His touch was warm, gentle. 3 months ago, he would have pulled her into his lap, demanded her attention, controlled the moment. Now, he just held her hand and waited. Naomi set the journal aside and turned to face him. Hi, she said softly. Hi. He reached up and tucked a strand of hair behind her ear, his tattooed fingers gentle against her skin. I missed you today, he murmured. I was at work for 8 hours, Yijun. That's normal. Doesn't mean I didn't miss you. Her heart squeezed. He leaned in slowly, giving her time to pull away if she wanted. She didn't. His lips brushed hers, soft, sweet, asking permission with every movement. She kissed him back, her hand coming up to rest against his chest. She could feel his heart racing beneath her palm. When they pulled apart, he rested his forehead against hers. I love you, he whispered. I love you too. And for the first time since David, since Janet, since everything had fallen apart, she meant it. The next day, Yijun picked her up after her shift. He waited outside the hospital in his car, exactly where he said he'd be. No surprises. No showing up unannounced. No guards following her. Progress. Naomi slid into the passenger seat, exhausted. Long day, he asked. 3 codes, 2 traumas, and Mrs. Han yelled at me for using the wrong procurement form. Wanted to pay off the hospital again. She shot him a look. He grinned. Joking. Mostly. Yijun. I know. No manipulation. No control. I'm behaving. He reached over and squeezed her hand. Dinner, he asked. Please. I'm starving. They went to a small Korean restaurant in Itaewon. Nothing fancy, just good food and quiet conversation. Yijun ordered for both of them, then caught himself. Sorry. Do you want something else? I should have asked. It's fine, Naomi said, amused. You know what I like. I'm trying to be better about assuming. I know, and I appreciate it. He relaxed slightly. Over dinner, they talked about normal things. Naomi's shift, his day, a movie they both wanted to see. Normal couple things. It felt good. It felt safe. As they left the restaurant, Yijun draped his arm around Naomi's shoulders, pulling her close against the cool Seoul night. She leaned into him, breathing in his scent, expensive cologne, and something uniquely him. Thank you, she said quietly. For what? He asked. For trying. For changing. For being patient with me. He stopped walking and turned to face her. Naomi, you gave me a chance when I didn't deserve one. When any sane woman would have run. You saw something in me worth saving. He cupped her face in his hands. I will spend every day of my life proving you were right. He kissed her then, deeper this time, with more passion but still controlled, still respectful. When they pulled apart, Naomi was breathless. Take me home, she whispered. His eyes darkened with desire, but he kept his control. Your place or mine? Yours. It's closer. Across Seoul, In a modest apartment in Gangnam, everything was falling apart. David sat on his couch, head in his hands. It had been 3 months since Naomi had walked out of his life. 3 months since he had lost the best woman he'd ever known. And Janet was driving him insane. Are you even listening to me? Janet snapped from the kitchen. David looked up. She stood there in one of his shirts, just like that first night Naomi had caught them. The memory made him sick. I'm listening, he said. Then answer me. When are you going to tell your mother about us? Janet. It's been 3 months, David. 3 months of hiding, of sneaking around. We're not sneaking around. Everyone knows about us. That's the problem. So what? You're ashamed of me. That's not what I said. Then what are you saying? David stood, frustration boiling over. I'm saying this was a mistake. Silence crashed through the apartment. Janet's face went pale, then red. What? This? Us? All of it was a mistake. You don't mean that. Yes, I do. David ran his hands over his face. I cheated on the woman I was supposed to marry. With her sister. I destroyed her trust, her family, everything. And for what? For me, Janet said, her voice shaking. For us. You said you loved me. I thought I did. But I was wrong. What I felt was excitement. Forbidden thrill. Not love. You're lying. I'm not. And I think you know it too. Janet's eyes filled with tears. You're just guilty. You miss her. But she's moved on, David. She's with someone else now. I know. And I'm glad. She deserves better than what I gave her. And I don't. David looked at her. Really looked at her. Janet wasn't a bad person. She was just lost. Jealous. Seeking validation in all the wrong places. You deserve someone who chooses you first, David said quietly. Someone who doesn't compare you to your sister. Someone who loves you for you. But that's not you. No, that's not me. Janet's tears spilled over. So what? You're breaking up with me. Just like that. Just like that. Because you feel guilty. Because I finally realized that what I did, was unforgivable. And staying with you doesn't make it better. It just keeps the wound open. Janet grabbed her bag, her hands shaking. You're a coward, David. You were a coward with Naomi, and you're a coward now. You're right. I am. She stared at him, waiting for him to take it back. He didn't. Get out, he said quietly. What? Get out of my apartment. We're done. Janet's face twisted with rage and hurt. You're going to regret this. I already regret everything. This is just damage control. She grabbed her things and stormed to the door. Before leaving, she turned back one last time. She's happy, you know. Naomi. I've seen her. With him. The Korean guy. They're disgustingly happy. Good, David said. You don't care. I care that she's happy. I don't care that it's not with me. I lost that right. Janet slammed the door so hard the walls shook. David sat back down, alone in the silence. For the first time in 3 months, he felt like he could breathe. Across town, Janet sat in her car, hands gripping the steering wheel, rage and envy poisoning every thought. Naomi. Always Naomi. The perfect one. The successful one. The happy one. She pulled out her phone and opened Instagram. Naomi's private account. Janet was still following from before. Everything exploded. Recent photos showed Naomi smiling, laughing, holding hands with a tall Korean man covered in tattoos. They look happy. Genuinely happy. And Janet had never hated her sister more. 2 days later, Naomi was at the nurse's station filling out charts when someone cleared their throat behind her. She turned and froze. David stood there in the hospital hallway, looking nervous and guilty. What are you doing here? She asked, her voice cold. I need to talk to you. Please. Just 5 minutes. We have nothing to talk about. Naomi, please. She looked around. Other nurses were watching. This was neither the time nor place. Outside, she said curtly. 5 minutes. They walked to a quiet corner of the hospital parking lot. Naomi crossed her arms and waited. David took a deep breath. I came to apologize. Again. I know you don't want to hear it, but I need to say it. You already apologized. 3 months ago, right before I threw my engagement ring at you. I know, but I need you to know that I understand now. What I did. The magnitude of it. Good for you, she said flatly. Janet and I broke up. Naomi felt nothing. Okay. I ended it. Because I realized that what we had was built on betrayal and guilt. It was never going to work. David, I don't care. He flinched. I don't care about you and Janet, she continued. I don't care that you broke up. I don't care that you feel guilty. I've moved on. I know. I've seen the photos. Naomi stiffened. You've been stalking my Instagram? No. Janet showed me. Before I ended things. She's been watching you. Her blood ran cold. What do you mean watching me? I don't know exactly. But she's been tracking your posts, your location tags. I think she's obsessed with the fact that you're happy. That's not my problem. Naomi, I'm worried about her. About what she might do. She already did the worst thing she could do. She betrayed me. There's nothing left. I just thought you should know. Naomi studied him for a long moment. He looked different, tired, older, genuinely remorseful. But she felt nothing for him. Thank you for telling me, she said finally. Now leave. And don't come back. Naomi. I mean it, David. I forgave you because holding on to anger was poisoning me. But forgiveness doesn't mean I want you in my life. We're done. Permanently. He nodded slowly. I hope he makes you happy. The guy in the photos. You deserve that. He does. More than you ever did. David winced, but didn't argue. He turned and walked away. Naomi watched him go, feeling the final door on that chapter of her life close. But his warning about Janet lingered, watching her, obsessed with her happiness. Naomi pulled out her phone and texted Yijun. Can we talk tonight? Something happened. His response was immediate. Are you okay? Yes. Just need to tell you something. I'll be there in 20 minutes. She smiled despite her unease. 3 months ago, he would have demanded to know immediately, would have sent people to investigate, would have controlled the situation. Now, he just showed up when she needed him. Progress. But David's warning kept echoing in her head. Janet was watching her, and something told Naomi this wasn't over. That evening, Yijun arrived at Naomi's apartment exactly when he said he would. She opened the door, and he immediately searched her face, reading her emotions. What happened? He asked, stepping inside. Naomi told him about David's visit, the breakup, and Janet watching her. Yijun's jaw tightened with each word. She's been stalking you. David said she's been tracking my social media. My location tags. Do you want to look into it? He stopped mid-sentence, closing his eyes. No, that's the old me talking. Naomi touched his arm. It's okay to be concerned. Concerned, yes. But my first instinct was to investigate her, to have you followed. He looked at her. That's not respecting your boundaries. Yijun, if she's actually dangerous, then we'll deal with it together. If she does something concrete, we go to the police. We do this the right way. He took her hands. I promise you no surveillance. No control. I meant it. Naomi's heart swelled. Thank you. He pulled her into his arms, and she melted against his chest. But I am worried, he admitted quietly. Family betrayal cuts deepest. I know. But maybe David was just being paranoid. Janet's bitter, but I don't think she'd actually do anything. Yijun didn't look convinced, but he nodded. If anything else happens, anything at all, you tell me immediately. I promise. He pulled back slightly, a small smile playing on his lips. Want to get your mind off this? Ow, movie? One. I'll even let you pick something terrible and romantic. Naomi laughed. You hate romantic movies. I hate seeing you worried more. They settled on the couch with wine, and a Korean drama Naomi had been wanting to watch. Yijun pretended to be annoyed, but she caught him getting invested in the plot. You're enjoying this, she teased. I'm tolerating it. For you. Liar. You gasped when the second lead showed up. That was a cough. That was a gasp. He pulled her closer, nuzzling her neck. Keep talking, and I'll change it to a documentary about paint drying. She laughed, tilting her head to give him better access. His lips traced a path from her neck to her jaw, soft and teasing. Yijun. You're distracting me from the show. That's the plan. He captured her lips in a slow, deep kiss that made her forget about dramas, Janet, everything. When they finally pulled apart, both breathless, he rested his forehead against hers. Stay with me tonight, he whispered. I have an early shift. I'll wake you up. I'll make you breakfast. I'll drive you to work. You're spoiling me. That's also the plan. Naomi pretended to consider it, even though she had already decided. Okay, but I'm picking the movie tomorrow night too. Deal. The next few weeks fell into a comfortable rhythm. Work, dates, quiet evenings. slow kisses, gentle touches. Yi-jun was trying so hard to be the man Naomi needed, but small things kept surfacing, like the time they were at a coffee shop and a man accidentally bumped into her. "Watch where you're going," Yi-jun said, his voice dropping to that dangerous tone she remembered. The man paled and hurried away. "Yi-jun," she said quietly. "He didn't mean it. He should be more careful. You scared him." He took a breath, visibly pulling himself back. "You're right. I'm sorry. Old habits." Or the time she mentioned grabbing drinks with co-workers after a shift. "Which co-workers?" he asked, too casually. "Does it matter?" A pause. Then, "No, it doesn't. Have fun." But Naomi saw the tension in his jaw, the way his hands clenched briefly before relaxing. "Yi-jun, I'm trying, Naomi. I am. But sometimes the thought of you out there without me." He stopped. "I know it's irrational. I know you're not mine to control. But the feeling doesn't just disappear." Naomi appreciated his honesty. "I know you're trying," she said, taking his hand. "And I see the effort. That's what matters." "Is it enough?" "For now, yes." But late at night, when she lay in bed alone, doubts crept in. "I thought I knew him. But could a man like Yi-jun ever truly change?" His nature was possessive, controlling, obsessive. Could love really override years of learned behavior? Or was she setting herself up for heartbreak? One evening, they walked through Namsan Park, hands intertwined. The cherry blossoms were blooming, petals falling like snow around them. "This is nice," Naomi said, leaning into him. "It is. No guards. No surveillance. Just us." "Just us," Yi-jun agreed. They found a bench overlooking the city and sat down. Yi-jun wrapped his arm around Naomi, and she rested her head on his shoulder. "Can I ask you something?" she said. "Always. Do you ever regret it? Meeting me? All the changes you've had to make." He was quiet for a moment. "I regret how we started," he said finally. "I regret scaring you, investigating you, manipulating situations to keep you close. But I don't regret meeting you. You're the best thing that ever happened to me. Even if loving you means changing everything I thought I was." Naomi lifted her head to look at him. "Who did you think you were? A monster. Someone who takes what he wants. Someone who controls everything because control means safety. And now I'm learning that love isn't about control. It's about trust. And trust is terrifying." She smiled. "You're a nurse. You've heard worse," he added, grinning. "Doesn't mean you should curse in front of me." He leaned down and kissed her, soft and sweet. "I love you," he murmured against her lips. "I love you too. Even with all my complications. Especially with your complications. They make you human." Something shifted in his expression. Vulnerability mixed with hope. "I'm going to mess up," he warned. "My instincts are going to kick in. I'm going to want to control things. I know, but I'll keep trying. Every day. To be better. For you. That's all I ask." They sat there as the sun set over Seoul, wrapped in each other and the tentative hope of a future they were building together. But neither of them noticed the figure watching from the trees. A young woman with long hair and bitter eyes. Taking photos. Making notes. Planning. Janet sat in her small apartment, surrounded by printed photos of Naomi and Yi-jun. The walls were covered with them. Naomi laughing at a cafe. Naomi and Yi-jun holding hands in the park. Naomi looking happy. Carefree. Loved. Everything Janet had never been. Her phone rang. An unknown number. She almost didn't answer. "Hello. Miss Adeyemi? We have a mutual interest." The voice was male, Korean, cold. "Who is this?" "Someone who knows about your sister's boyfriend. Kim Yi-jun." Janet sat up straighter. "What about him?" "He's made a lot of enemies in his line of work. Enemies who would love to hurt him. Through her." "Why are you telling me this?" "Because we've been watching you. Watching how you watch them. You want to see your sister suffer, don't you?" Janet's heart raced. She should have hung up. Should have blocked the number. But the bitterness had been growing for months, poisoning everything inside her. "What do you want?" she asked instead. "Information. Her schedule. Her routines. When she's vulnerable. And what do I get? Front row seats to her destruction. And money. A lot of it. We know you lost your job last month. That your sister stopped paying your rent." It was true. After the family dinner, after her mother disowned her, Naomi had cut her off completely. Janet was drowning in debt, Working part-time retail, barely surviving. How much money? Janet asked. 50 million won up front. Another 50 when we take her. 100 million won. Life-changing money. Money that could get her out of Korea and start over somewhere else. What would you do to her? Janet asked quietly. That's not your concern. All you need to know is that she'll suffer. And Kim Yi-jun will pay dearly to get her back. If he gets her back. Janet looked at the photos covering her walls. Perfect Naomi. Happy Naomi. Naomi who had everything. When do you need the information? She asked. Within the week. We'll contact you with a secure drop location. And you'll pay me first. Half up front. Half when the job is done. Janet closed her eyes. This was wrong. This was unforgivable. But Naomi had everything. And Janet had nothing. Okay. Janet whispered. I'll do it. Smart choice. We'll be in touch. The line went dead. Janet sat in the silence, her hands shaking. She knew this was crossing a line she could never uncross, but the bitterness had consumed her completely. She picked up her phone and opened her notes app. Naomi's work schedule, Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. Sometimes works late. Takes lunch at noon in the hospital cafeteria or at the cafe across the street. Home address, apartment in 81, 3rd floor. Usually arrives home around 4 p.m. on weekdays. Regular spots, cafe near hospital, Namsan Park on weekends, Yi-jun's apartment in Gangnam, address unknown to me. She walks to her car alone after shifts. Parks in a hospital garage, level 2, near the stairwell. She typed it all out and saved it. Tomorrow, she would send it. Tomorrow, she would betray her sister in the worst possible way. Over the next 2 weeks, strange things started happening. Small things, easy to dismiss. Naomi felt watched when she left work. She found her car, door unlocked when she was certain she had locked it. One afternoon, a coffee appeared on her break room table with her exact order, even though she hadn't ordered anything. I'm probably just paranoid, Naomi said to Yi-jun one evening. They were at his apartment, cooking dinner together. Because of Janet? He asked, chopping vegetables with precise movements. Maybe. David's warning got in my head. Trust your instincts. If something feels off, it probably is. But I don't have proof. Just feelings. Yi-jun set down the knife and turned to face her. Your feelings matter. If you feel unsafe, we can. Can what? You promised no surveillance. I know. And I meant it. But there are other options. You could vary your routine. Park in different spots. I could pick you up from work. That feels like letting fear control my life. Or it's being smart about your safety. Naomi sighed. Let me think about it. He pulled her into a hug. Whatever you decide, I support you. 3 days later, things escalated. Naomi came home from work to find her apartment door slightly ajar. Her heart stopped. She knew she had locked it. She called Yi-jun immediately. Don't go inside, he said. I'm calling the police, and I'm on my way. The police arrived first. They searched the apartment, while Naomi waited in the hallway with a neighbor. Nothing appears to be taken, one officer said. But someone was definitely here. Drawers opened. Things moved. Did they take anything valuable? Not that we can see. Do you have any enemies? Anyone who might want to scare you? Naomi thought of Janet. Maybe. My sister and I, we had a falling out. The officer took notes. We'll file a report. I recommend changing your locks and installing a security camera. Yi-jun arrived as the police were leaving. He immediately pulled Naomi into his arms. Are you okay? I'm fine. Just shaken. You're staying with me tonight. Yi-jun, I'm not asking. Someone broke into your home, Naomi. You're not staying here alone. For once, she didn't argue. She packed a bag, and they left together. At his apartment, Yi-jun made her tea while she sat on the couch, trying to process everything. Do you think it was Janet? Naomi asked. I don't know, but I'm going to find out. Without surveillance. He paused, clearly struggling. I'll hire a private investigator to look into the break-in. Legally. Is that okay? Naomi nodded. Yes, that's okay. He made a call, speaking rapidly in Korean. When he hung up, he sat beside her. Done. They'll investigate and report back. Thank you. I meant what I said about changing. But I also meant what I said about protecting you. Sometimes those things are in conflict. I know. And I appreciate you trying to balance them. But fear had settled deep in Naomi's chest. Someone was escalating, and she had a terrible feeling it was only going to get worse. Janet sat in a dark car parked outside a warehouse in an industrial area of Seoul. Her phone buzzed. "Come inside. Third door on the left." She stepped out of the car, a small smile playing on her lips. This was it. Finally, Naomi would understand what suffering felt like. The first payment, 25 million won, had already hit her account that morning. More money than she'd ever seen in her life. But honestly, the money was just a bonus. What she really wanted was to see Naomi broken. Janet walked into the warehouse, her heels echoing on the concrete floor with confidence. The third door opened before she could knock. A Korean man stood there, mid-30s, cold eyes, expensive suit. "Miss Adeyemi, I'm Min Jae. Come in." The room was sparse. A table, chairs, and two other men standing in the corners. Janet sat down without hesitation. "You have the information?" Min Jae asked. Janet slid a folder across the table. Inside was everything. Naomi's schedule, routes, habits, photos, addresses. Min Jae flipped through it, nodding. "Thorough. Very thorough. When are you going to do it?" Janet asked, excitement barely concealed in her voice. "Soon. Within the week. We're waiting for the right moment. And I get to be there. When you take her." Min Jae raised an eyebrow. "Most people in your position would want distance from the actual crime. I'm not most people. I want to see her face when she realizes what I've done." A slow smile spread across Min Jae's face. "You really hate your sister. More than you can possibly imagine. Good. That kind of hatred is useful. Yes, you'll be there. And you can have some time with her. Before we contact Kim Yi-jun." Janet's eyes gleamed. "How much time?" "As much as you want. As long as she's alive and conscious enough to make the phone call. You can do whatever you like." "Perfect." Min Jae leaned back, studying her. "You're a cold one, aren't you? My sister spent her whole life being perfect, being loved, being everything I could never be. Now it's her turn to suffer. And if she gets hurt, seriously hurt, even better." Janet's smile widened. "I want her to feel every bit of pain I've felt living in her shadow." Min Jae laughed. "I like you, Miss Adeyemi. You're ruthless. We could use someone like you. I'm not interested in joining your organization. I just want to see my sister destroyed." "Fair enough. We'll contact you with a date and time." Janet stood to leave, then paused. "One more thing. When it's over, when Kim Yi-jun pays whatever you're asking, what happens to her? That depends on him. If he cooperates fully, she goes free, traumatized but alive. And if he doesn't," Min Jae shrugged, "then she becomes a lesson to others about what happens when you cross us." Janet nodded slowly. Either way, Naomi would never be the same. And that was all she really wanted. 1 week later, Tuesday afternoon, Naomi finished her shift at 3 p.m. and walked to the parking garage like she did every day. Yi-jun had wanted to pick her up, but she had insisted she was fine. "I can't let fear control my life," she had told him that morning. "Then at least text me when you get home." "I will. I promise." Now, walking through the dim parking garage, Naomi felt uneasy. The fluorescent lights flickered overhead. Her footsteps echoed. She was alone. She reached her car on level 2, fumbling for her keys. That's when she heard it. Footsteps behind her. Fast. She turned, and a cloth was pressed over her mouth and nose. Chemical smell. Sweet. Overwhelming. She tried to scream, to fight, but her limbs went heavy. The world tilted. Strong arms caught her as she fell. "Got her," a male voice said in Korean. "Put her in the van. Quickly." Darkness swallowed her whole. Naomi woke to the sound of voices. Her head pounded. Her mouth was dry. She tried to move and realized her hands were zip-tied behind her back, her ankles bound to a chair. Panic surged through her. She forced her eyes open. She was in a warehouse. Concrete floors, high ceilings, dim lighting. 3 men stood several feet away, speaking in rapid Korean. Naomi couldn't understand most of it, but she caught one phrase, Kim Yi-jun. Oh God, this was about Yi-jun. She's awake, one of the men said in English. They turned to look at her. The man in front, expensive suit, cold eyes, stepped closer. Miss Adeyemi, welcome. I'm Min Jae. Where am I? Naomi croaked. What do you want? You know what we want. Your boyfriend has something that belongs to us. Territory. Money. respect. And now we have something that belongs to him. Yijun will kill you for this. Min-jae smiled. Oh, we're counting on him trying. But first, he'll pay. A lot. And while we wait for that payment, the warehouse door opened. Footsteps. A familiar silhouette appeared in the doorway. Naomi's heart stopped. You have a visitor. Janet walked into the light. Her sister. Naomi's own sister stood there in the warehouse, smiling. Not nervous. Not guilty. Just smiling. Hello, Naomi. No, Naomi whispered. Surprise. The pieces clicked together in her mind with horrifying clarity. You did this. You set this up. I gave them everything they needed. Your schedule. Your routes. Where you be vulnerable. Janet walked closer, her eyes gleaming with satisfaction. And now look at you. Tied up. Helpless. Scared. Janet. What the fuck is wrong with you? What's wrong with me? Janet's voice rose, sharp and bitter. What's wrong with you? Perfect Naomi. Successful Naomi. Mom's favorite. Everyone's favorite. So you had me kidnapped? I wanted you to suffer. Janet screamed, all pretense of calm gone. I wanted you to know what it feels like to have everything taken away. I'm your sister. You stopped being my sister the day you chose to destroy my life. You destroyed your own life when you slept with my fiancé. Janet's face twisted with rage. Then she lunged forward and slapped Naomi across the face. Hard. The sound echoed through the warehouse. Naomi's head snapped to the side, pain exploding across her cheek. But Janet wasn't done. She slapped her again. And again. You. Ruined. Everything. Each word punctuated with a hit. That's enough. Min-jae said, amused. Save some energy. We have a long night ahead. Janet stepped back, breathing hard, her hand red from hitting Naomi. But her eyes, bright with satisfaction, revealed that she was enjoying this. God, that felt good, Janet said, flexing her fingers. Do you know how long I wanted to do that? Blood trickled from Naomi's split lip. Her face burned. She refused to cry. You're sick, she said quietly. I'm sick. Janet laughed. You're the one who had me thrown out of the family, who cut off my money, who made sure everyone knew what I did. You deserved all of that, and you deserve this. She grabbed Naomi's hair, yanking her head back. Look at me, Janet hissed. Look at me and see what you created. This is your fault. If you'd just forgiven me, if you just moved on, none of this would be happening. If I'd forgiven you, you'd still be a terrible person. I just wouldn't know it yet. Janet's grip tightened painfully. I'm going to enjoy watching you suffer, watching him pay everything he has for you. And then, she leaned in close. When this is all over and you're traumatized and broken, you'll finally understand what I felt every day of my life. She shoved Naomi's head forward violently. Naomi gasped as pain shot through her neck. Min-jae watched the entire exchange with interest. You two have serious issues. She ruined my life, Janet said simply, and now you're ruining hers. Poetic. He checked his watch. We should contact Kim Yijun. Let him know what we have. He pulled out a phone and took a photo of Naomi, her face bruised, lip bleeding, terror in her eyes. Then he turned the camera to video. Tell him you're alive, he ordered. Naomi stayed silent. Janet walked over and grabbed her face, squeezing painfully. Do what he says, sister dear. Unless you want me to get creative. The malice in Janet's eyes was real. This wasn't an act. She genuinely wanted to hurt her. I'm alive, Naomi said to the camera, her voice shaking. Tell him you're unharmed, Min-jae said. Naomi looked directly into the camera. Don't give them anything. Don't come. Janet struck her again, harder this time, snapping her head to the side. Try that again, Min-jae said calmly. Unharmed. Naomi lied, tasting blood. Good enough. Send it. The message was sent. At 4:15 p.m., Yijun's phone buzzed with an unknown number. He answered without hesitation. Kim Yijun. Who is this? Someone who has something you want. His blood ran cold. Where is she? Safe. For now. We want 2 billion won in the Hongdae territory. You have 48 hours. If you hurt her, you'll what? The voice interrupted smoothly. We both know you'll do exactly what we say. Unless you want her returned in pieces. The line went dead. A photo appeared on Yijun's phone. Naomi, tied to a chair, her face already bruising, blood at her lip. Something inside him snapped. Then a video loaded. Naomi's face filled the screen, red marks blooming across her cheeks. I'm alive. I'm unharmed. The lie was unmistakable. She was already hurt. The video cut off. Yi-jun's office erupted. He swept everything off his desk, laptop, papers, glass shattering against the wall, then grabbed the desk itself and flipped it. Wood splintered as it hit the floor. Boss! Jay rushed in just as Yi-jun turned, his eyes wild. Find her. Yi-jun roared. I want every resource we have on this now. Who took her? I don't know, Yi-jun said through clenched teeth, but I'm going to find out, and I'm going to kill every single one of them. Jay froze. He had never seen Yi-jun like this. Unhinged, murderous fury rolling off him in waves. Get our tech team to trace that call. Contact every informant we have. Someone knows where she is. Yes, boss. Yi-jun paced like a caged animal, hands shaking with rage. They had already hurt her. He could see the marks clearly. Someone had hit her. More than once. Someone would pay for that. Boss, Jay said when he returned. The tech team traced the call. It was bouncing through multiple towers, but they narrowed it down to the industrial district. Likely a warehouse. There are hundreds of warehouses. We're cross-referencing with known rival properties. Give us an hour. You have 30 minutes. Jay ran out. Yi-jun forced himself to breathe, to think. Whoever had taken Naomi knew exactly how to hurt him. They knew she was his weakness. This had been planned. Someone had been watching her for weeks, and he had kept his promise. No surveillance. He had respected her boundaries. Now she was bleeding in a warehouse because of it. His phone buzzed again. Another unknown number. He answered immediately. You have something I want, Yi-jun said coldly. Name your real price. 2 billion won. Hongdae territory. And you come to pick her up yourself. Unarmed. A trap. Obvious. Inevitable. Done. Good. We'll send the location tomorrow. Come alone. If we see any of your men, she dies. I'll be there. The call ended. Yi-jun immediately called Jay back. Change of plans. I'm going in personally. Boss, that's suicide. I don't care. Give me blueprints of every warehouse in that district. I want snipers on every surrounding building. I want our best team ready to move the second I get her location. You're walking into a trap. I know, Yi-jun said, his voice deadly calm. But I'm walking out with her, no matter what it costs. Naomi had been in the warehouse for hours. Her face throbbed, her wrists aching from the zip ties cutting into her skin. But worse than the physical pain was watching Janet. Janet sat on a nearby crate, scrolling through her phone, occasionally glancing up and smiling at her like this was all some kind of entertainment. Stop staring at me, Naomi said. What? Janet replied lazily. I'm enjoying the view. You look pathetic. Janet, please. You can still stop this. Stop this. Janet stood and walked over to her. Why would I stop this? This is the happiest I've been in months. She crouched in front of Naomi, studying her face closely. Does it hurt? Naomi didn't answer. Janet reached out and pressed a finger against the bruise on Naomi's cheek. Naomi gasped as pain shot through her. Good, Janet said softly. I want it to hurt. I want you to remember this feeling forever. You're insane. I'm free, Janet said, standing again. For the first time in my life, I'm not in your shadow. I'm not the screw-up little sister. I'm the one with power. This isn't power, Naomi said hoarsely. This is pathetic. Janet backhanded her. Fresh pain exploded across Naomi's face. Don't call me pathetic. Janet screamed. You don't get to judge me anymore. Min-jae approached, irritation clear on his face. Can you two keep it down? Some of us are trying to plan a ransom. She started it, Janet snapped, sounding almost childish. I don't care who started it, Min-jae said. Just keep her conscious. We need her responsive for the exchange. She'll be responsive, Janet said, smiling at Naomi. But there's nothing that says she has to be comfortable. She walked away and returned with a bottle of water. For a brief, foolish moment, Naomi thought Janet was going to let her drink. Instead, Janet poured the water over her head. The cold shock made Naomi gasp. Oops, Janet said lightly. Slipped. The men laughed. Naomi closed her eyes, forcing herself to breathe, to stay grounded. Yi-jun would come. She knew he would. She just had to survive until then. You know what the worst part is? Janet said, sitting back down on the crate. I don't even feel guilty. I thought I would, but I don't. I just feel satisfied. You're broken, Naomi said quietly. No, Janet replied. I'm finally fixed. I spent my whole life trying to be like you, trying to earn Mom's love, trying to be good enough, and it never worked. So I stopped trying. And now I take what I want. And what do you want? To see you suffer, to watch your perfect life crumble, to know that for once I won. This isn't winning, Janet. This is destroying yourself. Maybe, Janet said coolly, but at least I'm taking you down with me. She stood and headed for the door. I'm going to get some food. Try not to miss me too much, sister. The door shut and locked behind her. Naomi sat alone in the cold warehouse, tied to a chair, face throbbing, clothes soaked. And for the first time since it all began, she let herself cry. Not from the pain, but from the devastating realization that her sister, her own blood, hated her enough to do this, and was enjoying every second of it. Hours passed, or maybe it was only minutes. Time distorted in the cold warehouse, stretching and folding in on itself. Janet eventually returned with food for herself. She sat directly in front of Naomi, eating slowly and deliberately, each bite intentional. Hungry? Janet asked, taking a bite of her sandwich. Naomi didn't answer. All right, can't exactly eat with your hands tied. Janet laughed softly. That's unfortunate. Janet. Save it, Janet cut in. Whatever you're about to say, some speech about family, forgiveness, how I can still turn back, save it. I don't want to hear it. She took another bite, chewing slowly. You know what I've been thinking about? Janet continued. That day at David's apartment, when you hit me, when you screamed at me, when you destroyed everything. You deserved it. Maybe I did, Janet said calmly. But you enjoyed it, didn't you? I saw in your eyes. That satisfaction. That rage finally being released. She leaned forward. Now you know how it feels to be on the receiving end. And honestly, I'm enjoying this even more than you enjoyed that. Because you're sick. Because I'm honest, Janet replied. You pretend to be so perfect, so moral, but you're just as capable of violence as I am. You just dress it up as righteous anger. There's a difference between confronting a betrayer and kidnapping someone. Is there, though? Janet smiled. We both hurt people who hurt us. I'm just more creative about it. Min Jae's phone rang. He answered in Korean, listened for a moment, then smiled. Your boyfriend is very punctual, he said. He's agreed to all our terms. He'll be here tomorrow at noon. Alone. Unarmed. Naomi's stomach dropped. He's walking into a trap, she whispered. Of course he is, Min Jae replied. But what choice does he have? It's you or his pride. And from what I hear, Kim Yi-jun would burn the world for you. You're going to kill him. We're going to try, Min Jae said lightly. Whether we succeed depends on how smart he is. Janet stood and walked over to him. When he gets here, I want to be there, she said. I want to see his face when he sees what I did to her. Min Jae considered. That's risky. He might recognize you. I don't care. I want him to know. I want both of them to know that I destroyed them. You really are committed to this revenge thing. Completely. Min Jae shrugged. Fine. But stay out of the way when the shooting starts. Shooting. Janet's confidence flickered for the first time. You didn't think we were just going to let him walk out of here, did you? Min Jae said. Even if he pays, even if he cooperates, we can't let Kim Yi-jun leave alive. He'd come back with an army. But if you kill him, you won't get your money. We'll get the money first. Then we kill him. Then we kill her. No witnesses. Clean sweep. Janet's face went pale. You said she'd go free if he cooperated. I lied, Min Jae said, smiling coldly. Did you really think we'd let either of them live? They've seen our faces, heard our names. She knows you were involved. The only way this ends clean is if they both die. I didn't sign up for murder. Yes, you did, Min Jae said flatly. The moment you gave us that information. You're an accessory now to kidnapping, extortion, whatever comes next. You're already in too deep. Janet looked at Naomi, and for the first time, real fear flickered in her eyes. This is what you wanted, Naomi said quietly. To see me destroyed. Congratulations. You're about to watch both of us die. Shut up. You sold your own sister to murderers. For what? Money? Revenge? Was it worth it, Janet? I said shut up. Janet grabbed a metal pipe from the floor and swung it. Naomi braced instinctively. Min-jae caught Janet's wrist mid-swing. Enough, he said. I need her conscious tomorrow. You can play with her after the exchange. He took the pipe from Janet's hands. Janet began shaking, tears streaming down her face. I didn't want this. Too late to grow a conscience now, Min-jae replied. You made your choice. Live with it. He walked away. Janet stood there, staring at Naomi. I didn't know they'd kill you, she whispered. Yes, you did, Naomi said. You just didn't let yourself think about it. I just wanted you to hurt. Well, mission accomplished. We're both going to die tomorrow because of your jealousy. Janet sank to the floor, burying her face in her hands. I'm sorry. No, you're not, Naomi said. You're just scared. There's a difference. Janet looked up, mascara streaking her face. I hate you so much, she said shakily, but I don't want you dead. At midnight, Yi-jun stood in his office, surrounded by his most trusted men. A map of the industrial district covered his desk, several warehouses circled in red. We've narrowed it to 3 possible locations, Jay said, pointing. All owned by shell companies connected to the J-Dragons. The J-Dragons, Yi-jun repeated, his voice dangerously calm. Min-jae's crew. You know them. We've had conflicts before. Over territory. Money. They've been looking for a way to hurt me for years. And now they have it. Yi-jun stared at the map, jaw clenched. How many men does Min-jae have? At least 20. Possibly more. They're well armed and expecting trouble. I'm trouble, Yi-jun said. I'm going to kill every single one of them. Boss, even if we get her out, starting a war with the J-Dragons. I don't care about war, Yi-jun said. I care about getting Naomi back alive. He turned to his team. Tomorrow at noon, I'll walk in alone as instructed, but I won't be unarmed. They'll search you. Not well enough. Jay, I need the smallest weapon you have. Something they'll miss. I have a ceramic blade, Jay said. 3 inches. Fits inside a belt buckle. Perfect. I'll also need a wire. Communication. Undetectable. We have microfilament earpieces. Virtually invisible. Good. While I'm inside, I want sniper teams on every building with line of sight. The moment I have Naomi, the moment I give the signal, I want suppressing fire on every exit. That's a lot of firepower in a civilian area. I want overwhelming force. Yi-jun interrupted. I want them too busy running chase us. Another man spoke. What about the money? The territory? Transfer the money. Make it look real. Reverse it the second we're clear. And Hongdae territory? They can have it for 12 hours, Yi-jun said coldly. Then we take it back. With interest. Yi-jun looked around the room. I'm not going to lie to you. This is dangerous. People might die. But Naomi is my line. They crossed it. And I'm going to make sure they regret it. What about the woman who set this up? Jay asked. Our source says Janet Adeyemi was spotted entering the warehouse. Yi-jun's expression darkened. Naomi's sister is there. Apparently, she's the one who gave them all the information. Schedules. Routes. Everything. Rage flashed across Yi-jun's face. Then she's complicit. She's part of this. What do you want us to do about her? Yi-jun was quiet for a long moment. If she's there when we move, if she's armed or poses a threat, handle her the same as the others. And if she's not a threat, then we let the police deal with her. She's Naomi's sister. Naomi gets to decide her fate. Not me. But privately, Yi-jun knew that if Janet had hurt Naomi, if she had laid even one hand on her, he would kill her himself, sister or not. Naomi didn't sleep that night. How could she? By morning, Yi-jun would walk into a trap trying to save her, and they would probably both die. Janet had curled up in a corner of the warehouse, crying quietly. The men ignored her. At sunrise, Min-jae walked over to Naomi. Big day today, he said. Your boyfriend arrives in 6 hours. We've already received half the money. Once he shows up and we confirm he's alone, we get the other half. And then you kill us, Naomi said. Min-jae smiled. Smart girl. I'm actually impressed. Most hostages cling to hope until the very end. I'm a nurse, Naomi replied. I know what death looks like, and I see it in your eyes. Then you know struggling is pointless. Doesn't mean I won't try. I like you, Miss Adeyemi. Min-jae said. Shame you fell for the wrong man. In another life. This might have ended differently. In another life, you'd still be a murderer, Naomi said, and I'd still hate you. Fair enough. He walked away, barking orders to his men in Korean. They began preparing, taking positions, checking weapons. This was really happening. Around 10 in the morning, Janet finally approached Naomi. Her eyes were red and swollen from crying. She looked awful. Naomi, I'm so sorry. Don't. Please let me explain. There's nothing to explain, Naomi said flatly. You sold me out. You collaborated with killers. You hit me, mocked me, enjoyed watching me suffer. What explanation could possibly make that okay? I was angry. So was I, Naomi replied, when you betrayed me with David. But I didn't try to have you killed. I didn't know they were going to kill you. Liar. Janet's face crumpled. You're right, she whispered. I didn't care. All I cared about was making you hurt. Well, congratulations. Mission accomplished. Maybe there's still a way. There isn't, Naomi said. The moment Yijun walks through that door, Min Jae is going to kill him. And then he's going to kill me. Janet sank to the floor beside the chair. I'm so sorry, Naomi. For everything. For David. For this. For being such a terrible sister. Save it for your prayers, Naomi said quietly. Because we're going to need a miracle to survive today. Outside, vehicles pulled up. Min Jae checked his watch. Right on time. Your boyfriend is here. Naomi's heart stopped. Remember, Min Jae told his men in English, likely for her benefit. Search him thoroughly. Take any weapons. But don't kill him until I give the word. We need him alive long enough to confirm the money transfer. He turned to Naomi. Time to put on a show. Try to look frightened. I don't have to try. He laughed. Perfect. The warehouse door opened. Yijun walked in. He looked exactly like himself. Expensive black suit. Perfectly composed. Dangerous calm radiating from every movement. But his eyes found Naomi immediately, and she saw the rage there. The barely contained fury at seeing her tied up, bruised, bleeding. Naomi, he said, his voice steady but tight. I'm okay, she managed. You're hurt. I'm alive. Min Jae stepped forward. Kim Yijun, thank you for joining us. Where's my money? Business first. I like that. Arms up. We need to search you. Yijun raised his arms without protest. Two men patted him down thoroughly, checking his jacket, pants, shoes. He's clean, one of them said in English. Good, Min Jae replied. Now the money. We received half. Transfer the rest. Yijun pulled out his phone slowly. Show me she's unharmed first. She's right there. You can see her. Show me, Yijun said coldly. Or the money stays where it is. Min Jae considered, then nodded. He walked over and cut the zip ties around Naomi's ankles, then hauled her to her feet. She stumbled, her legs numb from hours of sitting. Yijun's jaw clenched, but he didn't move. She's fine, Min Jae said. A few bruises. Nothing permanent. Now the money. Yijun tapped his phone screen several times. Done. 1,000,000,001. Check your account. Min Jae nodded to one of his men, who checked a laptop. Confirmed. Payment received. Good, Yijun said. Now let her go. At that moment, Janet stepped out from behind a crate. Yijun's eyes widened slightly. You, he said coldly. Me, Janet replied, trying to sound confident but failing. You set this up. I gave them information. They did the rest. You sold out your own sister. She deserved it. She loved you. Yijun roared, his composure cracking. She sacrificed for you, and you repaid her with this. Janet flinched. You don't understand. I understand perfectly. You're jealous, bitter, weak, and now you're going to die for it. What? Janet's face went pale. You think they're going to let you live? You're a witness. An accessory. The moment this is over, they'll kill you too. No, Min Jae said. Min Jae lied. Yijun said flatly. And you were stupid enough to believe him. Min Jae laughed. He's not wrong. You were a loose end, Miss Janet. Janet backed away, fear flooding her features. You promised. I promised nothing. You assumed. Big mistake. One of the men grabbed Janet's arm. She screamed. Wait, I can still be useful. I can. Shut her up, Min Jae ordered. The man backhanded Janet across the face. She crumpled, sobbing. Despite everything, Naomi felt a flicker of pity. Janet had done this to herself, but she was still her sister. Now then, Min Jae said, turning back to Yi-jun. Let's talk about what happens next. You let us walk out. You keep the money. Everyone goes home. Tempting. But no. You see, you've caused us a lot of problems over the years. This is about more than money. This is about sending a message. He pulled out a gun. No one crosses the Jade Dragons and lives. Yi-jun didn't flinch. You're making a mistake. Am I? You're unarmed. Alone. Surrounded. I have all the power here. You think I came alone? We've been watching all the approaches. No one followed you. No one you saw. For the first time, uncertainty flickered across Min Jae's face. You're bluffing. Am I? Yi-jun touched his ear. A gesture so subtle Naomi almost missed it. Then all hell broke loose. The warehouse windows exploded. Glass rained down as smoke grenades crashed through, filling the space with thick gray clouds. Gunfire erupted from outside, suppressing fire from multiple directions. Min Jae's men scattered, diving for cover. Ambush, someone screamed. Yi-jun moved instantly. He grabbed Naomi, pulling her against his chest as bullets ricocheted off metal beams. Stay down, he ordered. He reached to his belt buckle and pulled out a small ceramic blade, slicing through the zip ties around her wrists in one swift motion. Can you run? Yes. Then run. When I say go, you run for the east door. My men will cover you. What about you? I'll be right behind you. I promise. More gunfire. More smoke. Men shouted in Korean, scrambling to organize a defense, but Yi-jun's team had caught them completely off guard. Go! Yi-jun shouted. Naomi ran, stumbling through the smoke, her legs screaming after hours of being immobile. Behind her, she heard Yi-jun fighting, the sound of his blade striking, the scream cut short. She reached the east door just as it burst open. Jay stood there, gun drawn. Miss Naomi. This way. He grabbed her arm and pulled her outside. A black van waited, engine running. Get in. Get in. She dove into the van. Where's Yi-jun? She gasped. He's coming. He's... An explosion rocked the warehouse. Flames shot from the windows. No. Naomi screamed. Then she saw him. Yi-jun emerged from the smoke, dragging someone with him. Janet. He'd gone back for her. Janet was screaming, clawing at him, hysterical. Something in Yi-jun snapped. One sharp movement. His fist connected with her jaw. She collapsed instantly, unconscious before she hit the ground. The silence afterward was deafening. Yi-jun didn't look at her. He lifted her limp body and threw her into the van, then jumped it himself. Drive, he shouted. The van peeled out as the warehouse burned behind them, gunfire fading into the distance. Naomi's hand shook as she turned to him. You came back for her. Why? Yi-jun glanced at Janet, slumped and unmoving. Because she's your sister, he said quietly. And despite everything, I knew you'd never forgive yourself if I let her die. Tears streamed down Naomi's face. He pulled her into his arms, holding her like she might disappear. I've got you, he whispered. You're safe now. I've got you. The van drove them to a safe location, one of Yi-jun's properties on the outskirts of Seoul. Janet regained consciousness with a swollen lip just as police cars pulled in, their lights cutting through the early morning darkness. Yi-jun had called them during the rescue. Evidence, witnesses, everything had already been documented. Kim Yi-jun, a detective said as he approached. We got your call. You said there was a kidnapping. Yes, Yi-jun replied evenly. Naomi Adeyemi was kidnapped by the Jade Dragons and held for ransom. I have evidence, video, communications, everything. He handed over his phone. The detective scrolled through the files, his expression hardening. And this woman, the detective asked, gesturing toward Janet. Janet Adeyemi. Yi-jun said coldly. She collaborated with the kidnappers. She provided information and was complicit in the crime. Janet's head snapped up. No, I was forced. We have evidence of you meeting with them beforehand. Yi-jun cut in. Bank transfers. Photos. Messages. You took money to betray your sister. The detective turned to Naomi. Is this true, Miss Adeyemi? Naomi looked at Janet, broken, terrified, reduced to someone she barely recognized. A part of her wanted to protect her, but she couldn't. Not after everything. Yes, Naomi said quietly. It's true. She sold me out. She was at the warehouse. She hurt me. No, Janet screamed. Naomi, please. I'm your sister. You stopped being my sister when you put a price on my head, Naomi said, her voice steady despite the pain behind it. The detective nodded. Janet Adeyemi, you are under arrest for conspiracy to commit kidnapping, aiding and abetting a criminal organization, and assault. 2 officers seized Janet's arms. She struggled, screaming as they pulled her away. Naomi, please, don't let them do this. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Naomi turned away. She couldn't watch. Yijun wrapped an arm around her as the officers dragged Janet toward a police car. You did the right thing, he murmured. Then why does it feel so wrong? Naomi whispered. Because she's family, he said softly. And family always hurts the most. The police car drove off, Janet's screams fading into the distance. The detective returned. We'll need full statements from both of you. A medical examination from Miss Adeyemi. This is going to be a long process. Whatever you need, Yijun said. We'll cooperate fully. And the warehouse, the detective added. There are reports of an explosion. Self-defense, Yijun replied. They intended to kill us. My men acted to protect civilian lives. The detective studied him for a moment, unconvinced but pragmatic. We'll investigate. Don't leave, Seoul. We won't. When the detective walked away, Naomi finally allowed herself to breathe. Is it really over? She asked. The immediate danger is, Yijun said. The legal mess is just beginning. But we'll get through it. He lifted her face gently, his eyes searching hers. I'm so sorry, he whispered. I should have protected you better. I should have. You saved me, Naomi said. That's all that matters. I almost lost you. But you didn't. He kissed her then, gentle, desperate, filled with relief, fear, and love. When they pulled apart, both of them were crying. Let's go home, Yijun said. Yes, Naomi replied softly. Please. 2 weeks passed, 2 weeks of police interviews, medical examinations, and trauma counseling. 2 weeks of nightmares. Naomi often woke up gasping, her wrists aching with phantom zip ties, Janet's voice echoing in her head, telling her she wanted her to suffer. But every single time, Yijun was there, holding her, grounding her, reminding her she was safe. I'm here, he would whisper. You're safe. I've got you. Slowly, the nightmares became less frequent. The bruises on Naomi's face faded to yellow and then disappeared. The cut on her lip healed. The emotional wounds, however, lingered. One afternoon, Naomi stood in the hospital parking garage, level 2, near the stairwell, the exact spot where she had been taken. Her hands trembled. You don't have to do this, Yijun said quietly beside her. Yes, I do, Naomi replied. I can't avoid this place forever. I work here. You could transfer to a different hospital. No, she said firmly. I'm not letting them take this from me too. He nodded, understanding. Naomi took a deep breath and walked to where her car had been parked that day. The memories hit her all at once. The cloth over her face, the chemical smell, the darkness. Her breathing quickened. Naomi. Yijun's voice cut through the panic. Look at me. She turned to him. You're here now, he said steadily. Safe. With me. That day is over. You survived. I survived, she repeated. You survived. And you're stronger than you know. She nodded, forcing her breath to slow. In, out, in, out. Okay, she said at last. I'm okay. You sure? No, Naomi admitted. But I will be. Yijun took her hand, and together they walked back to his car. Small steps, but steps forward. 3 weeks after the kidnapping, Janet's trial began. Naomi hadn't wanted to attend, but the prosecutor insisted her testimony was crucial. So she sat in the courtroom with Yijun beside her and watched her sister face justice. Janet looked terrible, thin, pale, her eyes hollow. Prison had already taken its toll. When she saw Naomi, she broke down in tears. All rise, the bailiff announced as the judge entered. The evidence was overwhelming. Bank transfers showing Janet had received 50 million won. Photos of her meeting with Min Jae. Security footage placing her at the warehouse. Naomi's testimony about what Janet had done to her there. Janet's lawyer argued coercion, claimed she'd been manipulated, that she hadn't understood what she was getting into. The prosecutor dismantled the defense piece by piece. Miss Adeyemi accepted payment, he said. She provided detailed information about her sister's schedule and vulnerabilities. She was present at the warehouse and participated in the assault. She knew exactly what she was doing. When Janet was allowed to speak, she looked directly at Naomi. Naomi, I'm so sorry, she said through tears. I was angry, jealous. I made terrible choices, but I never wanted you to die. You have to believe me. Naomi said nothing. Please, Janet begged. I know I don't deserve forgiveness, but you're my sister, my blood. Doesn't that mean anything? Naomi stood slowly. Blood means nothing when you betray it, she said calmly. You didn't just hurt me. You sold me to people who wanted to kill me. You hit me, mocked me, enjoyed my suffering. And when you realized you'd be killed too, you only cared about saving yourself. That's not true. It is true, Naomi said, and we both know it. You're not sorry for what you did. You're sorry you got caught. Janet's face collapsed. I loved you, Naomi continued. I sacrificed for you. I gave you everything I had, and you repaid me with the worst betrayal imaginable. So no, Janet, it doesn't mean anything anymore. She sat back down. The courtroom remained silent. 3 days later, the verdict was read. Guilty on all counts. 15 years in prison. Janet sobbed as the sentence was handed down. Naomi felt nothing. No relief, no sorrow. Just a hollow emptiness where her sister used to be. Outside the courthouse, reporters crowded them. How do you feel about your sister's sentence? Do you forgive her? Will you visit her in prison? Yi-jun shielded Naomi, guiding her through the chaos and into the car. Once inside, Naomi finally exhaled. It's over, she whispered. It's over, Yi-jun agreed. She's really gone. Yes. I don't have a sister anymore. No, he said gently. You don't. Naomi leaned against him, exhausted. Is it wrong that I don't feel worse about this? No, Yi-jun replied. She made her choices. You're allowed to protect yourself from people who hurt you, even family. My mother hasn't spoken to me since the arrest, Naomi said quietly. Because you testified against Janet? Because she thinks I should have forgiven her. That family should always forgive family. That isn't fair to you. I know, Naomi said, but it still hurts. Yi-jun kissed the top of her head. You have me, he said, and I'm not going anywhere. Promise. Promise. 6 weeks after the kidnapping, life slowly returned to something resembling normal. Naomi went back to work. Mrs. Han welcomed her with an unusual warmth. I'm glad you're alive, Naomi, she said. This hospital needs good nurses. Thank you, Mrs. Han. And Kim Yi-jun. Mrs. Han added, eyeing her closely. He's treating you well. Very well. Good. If he ever doesn't, you come tell me. I'll set him straight. Naomi smiled. I will. Work settled into a familiar rhythm. Normal, routine, grounding. It helped. But the best part of her days was going home to Yi-jun. They had officially moved in together, his apartment slowly transforming into theirs. Naomi's books filled his shelves. Her plants lined his windows. Her photos joined us on the walls. Small changes, but enough to make it feel like home. One evening, Naomi was cooking dinner when Yi-jun came in. He looked exhausted. Long day, she asked. Very, he replied. Meetings, negotiations, the usual territorial nonsense. Do you want to talk about it? Not really. I just want to be here, with you. He wrapped his arms around her from behind, resting his chin on her shoulder. This is nice, he murmured. It is. I could stay like this forever. So could I. They stood there quietly, breathing together. Naomi, there's something I need to tell you. Her stomach tightened. What is it? After what happened? After almost losing you? I made some changes. What kind of changes? I'm stepping back, he said. Not completely. It's not that simple. But I'm delegating, reducing my involvement in the most dangerous parts. She turned to face him. What? Because I want a future with you. A real future. And I can't have that if I'm constantly in danger. Or putting you in danger. Yi-jun, I know I talked about changing before. About controlling my obsessive tendencies. But this is different, he said quietly. This is about choosing you over everything else. And I choose you. Tears filled Naomi's eyes. Are you sure? She asked. This life, It's all you've ever known. You're all I want to know now. He cupped her face gently. I love you, Naomi. More than power. More than territory. More than anything. And I'm going to spend the rest of my life proving that to you. You already have. Then I'll keep proving it anyway. He kissed her softly, deeply, full of promise. When they pulled apart, both of them were crying. So what does this mean? Naomi asked. What does stepping back actually look like? It means legitimate business. Less risk. More time with you. It means building something together instead of just surviving separately. I like the sound of that. So do I. That night, after dinner, after long conversations filled with plans and hopes for the future, they came together slowly and tenderly. There was no desperation in it. Only trust, care, and a quiet sense of safety Naomi hadn't felt in a long time. Later, they lay tangled together in the dark, Yi-jun's fingers tracing idle patterns as the city hummed softly beyond the windows. I thought I lost you, he whispered. But you didn't. I know. But those hours not knowing where you were, if you were alive, I've never felt fear like that. I was terrified too, Naomi said softly. But I knew you'd come. How? Because you promised to protect me. And you keep your promises. He pulled her closer. I'm going to keep protecting you, he said, for the rest of our lives. Even when I don't need protecting, especially then. She smiled against his chest. You know what's funny? She said. What? That night in the alley, when I saved you, I thought my life was over, that I'd made the worst mistake. And now I think it was the best decision I ever made. Even after everything, he asked. The obsession, the control, the danger, even after everything. Because you changed. You fought your own nature for me. And that's the most romantic thing anyone's ever done. He laughed softly. Only you would think overcoming obsessive tendencies is romantic. It's extremely romantic, Naomi said. You literally rewired your brain for me. I'd rewire the whole world for you. See? Romantic. They fell quiet for a moment. Then Yi-jun spoke again. Marry me. Naomi froze. What? Marry me, he said calmly. Not now. Whenever you're ready. Someday. Be my wife. Let me spend forever proving I'm worthy of you. Yi-jun. I know it's soon, he continued. I know you need time to heal. I'm not asking for an answer now. I just want you to know that's what I want. With you. Only you. She lifted her head to look at him in the darkness. Ask me again in 6 months, and you'll say yes. Ask me in 6 months and find out. He smiled, the genuine, warm smile that still took her breath away. I can wait 6 months. Good, Naomi said, because I need time to make sure you're really done with obsessive surveillance. I'm done, he promised. And the controlling behavior, working on it every day, and the tendency to solve problems with violence. He hesitated. I'm a work in progress on that one. Naomi laughed. At least you're honest. Always, Yi-jun said. With you always. 6 months passed. 6 months of healing, growing, and building a life together. 6 months of therapy for both of them. 6 months of learning how to trust again. On a beautiful spring day, Yi-jun took Naomi back to Namsan Park, to the bench where they had sat half a year earlier, watching the sunset. Why here? Naomi asked. Because this is where I realized I wanted to change for you, Yi-jun said. Really change. Not just say it, do it. He dropped to one knee. Naomi's heart stopped. Naomi Adeyemi, he said, pulling out a ring. 6 months ago, I asked you to marry me. You told me to ask again in 6 months. So I'm asking, will you marry me? Tears streamed down her face. You actually waited the full 6 months. Of course I did, he said simply. I promised. You kept your promise. I always will. Naomi looked at him. The man who had once been a monster, who had chosen to become human for her, who had saved her and allowed himself to be saved in return. Yes, she whispered. Yes, I'll marry you. Yi-jun slid the ring onto her finger. It was simple, elegant, perfect. He stood and kissed her as the sun dipped low over her soul. People walking past clapped and cheered, but neither of them noticed. They were too busy holding each other, crying and laughing and kissing, too busy being happy. 1 year later, Naomi stood in a simple white dress, flowers woven in her hair, facing Yi-jun. They had chosen a small ceremony. Only close friends, Yi-jun's most trusted people, Mrs. Han, and Naomi's mother. Naomi's mother had reached out 3 months earlier, apologizing for choosing sides and for failing to support her. Their relationship would never be what it once was, but they were rebuilding, slowly. Do you, Kim Yi-jun, take Naomi Adeyemi to be your lawfully wedded wife? The officiant asked. I do, Yi-jun said. Forever. And do you, Naomi Adeyemi, take Yi-jun to be your lawfully wedded husband? Naomi looked at him. This beautiful, complicated, reformed man. I do. Then by the power vested in me, I now pronounce you husband and wife. You may kiss. Yi-jun didn't wait for the rest. He pulled Naomi into his arms and kissed her like air after drowning. The guests cheered. When they finally pulled apart, both of them were crying. I love you. Yi-jun whispered. I love you too. Thank you for saving me that night. Thank you for saving me back. Later, at the reception, Mrs. Han approached them. Congratulations, she said. I'll admit, I wasn't sure you two would make it. Why not? Naomi asked. Because men like him don't usually change, Mrs. Han said, and women like you don't usually take the risk. But we did, Yi-jun said. Yes, she replied with a small smile. You did, and I'm glad I was wrong. She walked away, leaving them alone. Yi-jun pulled Naomi onto the dance floor. Happy? He asked, deliriously. No regrets. None. You. Only that I didn't find you sooner. We found each other at exactly the right time. Maybe you're right. They swayed together as the music played. I thought I knew what love was, Naomi said quietly. But I didn't. Not until you. What is it then? Yi-jun asked. Love. It's choosing someone every day, she said. Even when it's hard. Even when you have to change everything you are to be worthy of them. That's a good definition. I learned it from you. He smiled and kissed her forehead. What do you think happened to them? Naomi asked softly. David. Janet. David's living in Lagos now. Yi-jun said. Engaged from what I hear. Good for him. And Janet. She's in prison. Where she belongs. Do you think I'll ever forgive her? I don't know, he said gently. Do you want to? Someday. Maybe. Not for her. For me. So I'm not carrying that anger forever. Then someday you will, Yi-jun said. When you're ready. And until then, we focus on us. On this life we're building. On being happy. I like that plan. So do I. The song ended, but they kept dancing. Because they had forever now. Forever to be happy. Forever to love each other. Forever to prove that even the darkest obsession could become the purest love. If you were willing to change. If you were willing to fight. If you were willing to choose each other. Every single day. The end. If you watch the story to the end, then you're part of the family. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications because stories like this are rare. Drop a comment telling me. Do you believe people can really change for love? Or is obsession always obsession? Thank you for watching this journey from darkness to light, from obsession to love, from broken to healed. Naomi and Yi-jun got their happy ending. And sometimes, that's all we need. See you in the next story.